welcome to my channel, or welcome back, loyal viewers. Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome, come on in. I'm Kerry, the nosy housefrau, and today I'm sticking my nose in on the hot topic of Trisha Paytas and Peter Mon. As you know, Peter Mon made his way all the way up to a coveted spot on Trisha's kitchen floor. That's not easy to achieve, we're told. And it might have been the only clean place to sit, I don't know. By the way, she always says she has to film there because of the lighting. There's something, I couldn't put my finger on what was wrong with that. And then I was like, wait a minute. You have a $1,750 Fendi charm on your purse, but you can't afford a light? Also, I've looked at those apartments back when we lived in LA. We looked at those apartments, and that was a while ago. In 2009, that penthouse apartment where she lives, not going to tell you where, out of respect for Rebecca Schaefer and many others, and respect for privacy, but that apartment, that penthouse apartment, was over $6,000 a month in 2009. What? And this is the relevant part. Almost from floor to ceiling, there's kind of a great room. You've probably seen it in some of her shots. Massive window. So that's BS. We're gonna have to call BS on the have to sit on the floor because of the lighting. No, it's just your gig. Just admit it. It's where you want to sit. So everybody's been asking me in DMs and otherwise. I still have to talk about Gabriel Zamora, but everybody's been asking me about Trisha and Peter Mon's falling out. So Willa Beans showed up, and Willa the fluffy jelly bean. So I moved to the side so you can see her, because Willa's popular. Also, she makes an espresso machine sound. We got her surgery for it. They said it was nodules. Paid for the surgery. The next day she sounded the same. So now we have to take her to a specialist. Why shouldn't my cats get better health care than the rest of us? Anyway, hi Willa. So she's gonna upstage me. That's okay. Back to Trisha and Peter. As many of you may know, these two have been friendly. In the past, he's been accused of lobbing her softballs on her behavior and being a little biased. And I noticed that too, but they were friendly, so you know, it's probably not so easy to criticize someone who's your friend. I try to be understanding of that because I think we're probably all guilty of that to an extent. Putting that aside, any bias aside, Trisha came out with a series of videos about her opioid withdrawal and about her 3-day involuntary stint in the psych ward. I'll link below my previous video talking about that. Peter came out with a video very concerned about the fact that she seems to be doing this at home alone. Trisha was so mad. Apparently Rewired Soul did one too. I didn't watch it. I'll find it and link it as well because it pertains to this. Trisha was lumping them together, which is something I wouldn't do. I personally have a lot more respect for Peter, but Trisha was saying that, you know, F you for saying my family wasn't as involved. You don't know this. Although she was really mad and crying, and to me, unleashing the hounds. And she said people will say this is manipulative, and it's not. Personally, I found it very manipulative. It was, to me, it was her knowing for a fact that she would be releasing the hounds on these people. There's no way she doesn't know this. And she said, some people will say this is manipulative, F you. Okay, well, F me, because F you too. I think it was manipulative. I think, you know, when she's sitting there all of a sudden out of nowhere, after getting criticism for never speaking to her, her viewers, all of a sudden she's going, I read all your stuff, I read your comments. She goes back and forth. No, I don't read comments. Yes, I do read comments. But now she's going through the phase where she reads her comments. That's her reaching out to her fishies so she can tell them to pick up torches and pitchforks, in my opinion. You know, there's two things I talked about recently in my videos that just wound up coming out of Trisha's mouth. And that is very interesting to me because she says sometimes she watches smaller channels, then she said she doesn't. She might be one of those people who watches everything about her, I don't know. But remember I did my car vlog about Thomas Halbert, and the strongest message I had in there was that you have to forgive yourself. If you saw that, you'll know that. I'll link it below. I said, you know, you can't control how other people, you know, if they forgive you, but you have to forgive yourself. That's a very important step in moving on. That night, Trisha tweeted out almost that exact same thing. Am I being paranoid? Am I being like, who do I think I am? That might sound like, you know, oh, you just think everybody's watching you. Hey, you're putting yourself out there. People could be watching, especially when you're talking about them. It's really not that far-fetched. And I don't see Trisha coming up with many profound thoughts. Not to toot my own horn. Most of the stuff I've heard that comes out of Trisha that sounds remotely profound, I think she heard it somewhere else. And now I'm really kind of convinced of that. What do you? Getting back to the Peter and Trisha thing, because it's not about me. It's not about Willa here. It's about, do you think that Peter is right, or do you side with Trisha? Trisha was very upset. And also, here's the other thing. People were criticizing him for making a video about his supposed friend and not reaching out to her personally in a text. There's two things to consider there. One, we don't know what the state of their relationship is, or if that she even answers his texts. But two, he was concerned that she would put this information out there and other people who may need to come off of addiction won't seek help because she's advocating just doing this on your own. So that alone may have been something that for him, being so passionate about recovery, that may have transcended a friendship. He was not cruel to her, but in fact, if she had watched the whole thing, which she said she didn't, she would have seen that he said he's there for her, he's willing to talk to her, and if this is real, you know, this is what she needs to consider. Trisha was so livid that anybody would doubt her and say, you know, people play these cards so much that it's just like, oh, you are saying I'm not telling the truth? How dare you? This is about addiction, and my mother had cancer. She went there like that. She said her mother had a mastectomy. I'm assuming that she meant mastectomy, but she said her mother had one. And that got connected to the rest. And then she says this is not a manipulation. She's making Peter Mon look like he's this horrible person who's just calling her a liar outright and does not like orphans or cancer. He's pro-cancer. So don't tell me you're not being manipulative when it's the first time you address your audience. It's you know, something you tie in and play the James Charles cancer card. We just saw that 2 weeks ago. Anyway, I did find it manipulative. I'm sorry, Trisha fans. That's just how I saw it. It's not that deep. I don't hate her. In fact, I can't really rip into her the way I sometimes want to because she's so sad. She feels so sad over her breakup. And in fact, not only did I warn her, she probably didn't see it, but I did warn about this a long time ago, saw it coming a mile away. I don't think she does want him back. I think she doesn't like to lose. I think she has an abandonment issue. I think he's more interesting now that it's something to win back. She tested him and sabotaged that relationship so much. She has intimacy issues. She has commitment issues. She just has so many issues, and she hurts herself. So how can I be hateful or hate somebody who hurts themselves? I'm frustrated with the choices that she makes. I'm frustrated that she lacks empathy and that she goes into this vicious cycle and then just is an emotional vampire to the people around her rather than giving back. The answer to ending her pain is right under her nose. Help others. Stop being so focused on yourself. She was talking about going out, and I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I want to point this out before I forget it. She was in tears because she went out. I want to enjoy this beautiful city that I'm around, and then I just wanted to go home and go to sleep. And that pained her, that she just wants to go home and go to sleep. But you know, one of the problems I had with this is Trisha reminds me of Postcards from the Edge. You remember when Meryl Streep's character, representative of Carrie Fisher, says, I know my life is good. I look all around it and I see it's good, but I can't feel my life. She almost said that exact same thing. If she's sitting there crying because she has to go home to bed, it's hard for me to have sympathy when I have friends who are aging, who are in pain, who have disabilities, who wish they could go home and go to bed. They're not out having lunch somewhere. Some of them are out working hard. Some of them are scrubbing toilets. We all know people like this who are struggling to keep the lights on, who don't have the luxury of saying, oh, and I just spent 5 days in bed. Maybe if you didn't have that luxury, I'm telling you, I have the solution to Trisha's problem. Get her a job as a housekeeper at the local hotel. And make it a 5-star hotel. Go to the Beverly Hills hotel, the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills, and make her a housekeeper for 1 day. She'd quit her bitching, believe you me. She'd shut up real fast, run back to her happy life, and be like, oh, I was wrong. This is great. I have it really good. Because the novelty of her luck has worn off. The way she lives, she can't feel how lucky she is and how fortunate it is. She knows it's there, but she can't feel it. And sometimes what it takes is stepping outside of the way you're living. Helping other people will make you feel fulfilled. Everybody has told her, stop chasing these things that don't make you happy. She can't do it, so that's why she's not happy. She's wanting the wrong things. Now, Jason Nash, she said, I felt safe with him, I felt loved with him. If she got him back, she'd be right back to mistreating him within a day, because she will not belong to any club that will have her as a member. I've seen this, I know this, I've been like this in my early 20s. So I understand it. She just kept testing him and pushing him away and pushing him away. And I was writing, vlogging, and saying, so were other people, I'm sure, if you keep pushing him away, eventually he's going to tire of you. He's going to be exhausted. I'll make it real simple for you. If you really want a man, and you really want to be with a man, if that's what you really want, because you have to know what you want. But if that is what you really want, then understand that when somebody commits to you, they've given you something. And you now have a responsibility to make that person happy. If you stop chasing lust, and you actually look for love, you're going to realize it's hard work. And you have a responsibility to that person. Take the most gorgeous guy you see out there. Picture the most beautiful person you want to have. Or guys, picture the most beautiful woman you want to have. That's someone you will wind up taking care of. You're not going to be young forever. And that person comes with their baggage. They come with laundry. You're going to have to help each other, work with each other, and be there for each other. And it's not always glamorous. Happiness isn't like, I want to be happy, I'm with you, I'm happy. You have to exercise joy the same way you have to exercise your body, especially if you're not someone who naturally feels that happiness. I'm getting a little preachy, but I just feel like I should share some of that because I've been there. Willa has left the building. Bye, Willa. Catch you on the flip-flop, mama. So, I want to address another criticism of Peter Mon. Peter Mon has been focused on the loss of a friend, sadly, so he has not responded to this yet that I know of. But one of the other criticisms was that he did not believe her. People seem to think that because something is so serious that a person should automatically have more credibility when they've been a confirmed liar. He didn't say she was lying. He didn't say she was absolutely not going through addiction. He's skeptical. Why wouldn't he be? In 1 week, I saw her contradict herself in 2 different videos. One where she was saying they gave her Percocet after her surgery, but she never really got addicted. And another one was where she said she was coming off of the opiates. So which one is it? And she flip-flops a lot. And then sometimes she tries on personalities like shoes, like I've said, and she has her Anna Nicole Smith personality. So why would anybody just, especially when you do know about addiction and some things don't add up to you, and this person has a history of lying, he has a right to put on his skepticals, okay? So me personally, I have no expertise in this area. I really don't. I believe her that she is coming off of an addiction, but I don't know these things that people say add up and don't add up because I wouldn't know. I don't know what withdrawal that kind is like. My addiction is carbs, and some people never believe this, but I have no history of drugs. My mother never did either. She was not a drinker, a smoker, any of that stuff, and I'm probably just wired that way, and it's just in my DNA. But I remember in the 80s growing up, they showed us really scary stuff. Like they showed us gruesome things to keep us off the train tracks, and then they showed us hideous things about people trying drugs, and I knew that if I had even attempted to smoke weed, I would be the person who got the schizoid embolism. So I was terrified of that. I mean, they scared us straight about, sex and drugs, and oh, I'm demonetized now. But anyway, yeah, for me, I have to concede that I just don't know that much about that. Even when I studied psychology and abnormal psych, I never really got into addiction. So I can't claim to really know what doesn't line up. But I know Peter Mon is passionate about that. And you might be like, Kerry, why are you lobbing Peter Mon softballs? You are now sticking your flag in the ground, and that means you are pro Peter Mon. What it means is, in this situation, I think he's right. And doesn't matter who I'm a fan of or not a fan of, I'm a fan of the truth. As an aside, I wanted to point out that LA definitely seems to be a little more free with the opiates. And I know it's a stereotype, but I think it's true. Because when we were filming there, I had to go see a doctor. This was after we had left and came back to LA. And I went to this doctor in Beverly Hills, and we were talking, and I mentioned my pain, and he just nudged me and went, "What's your favorite? What's your favorite?" And I was just like, my favorite? Look, I have a favorite color, I have favorite foods. I don't have a favorite opiate. And I pictured him like with the coin thing, like just cha-ching, 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 you know. In LA, you keep a little candy dish of Percocets in case company comes over. You make a really nice Percocet smoothie. I actually he prescribed me some Percocet, and I took one, and I was so nasty when it wore off, and I was really sick when it wore off, and I just did not like the loopy feeling at all, and I just thought they can do better, and I was still in pain. I was like, so, you know, I'm putting stress on my vital organs, and this is not a good idea for me. So my thing is, if I live long enough and I'm an old lady, oh, I'll be clicking that morphine thing if I'm old and sick and dying, absolutely. But until then, I got enough problems. And I've never seen anybody's life made better by drugs and drug use. You know, some of you probably are experts out there watching this or have a lot of experience with this. Maybe you can answer this question in my mind, which is recovery different for everyone? You know, when my friend's mother had cancer, the doctor told my friend, stop treating this like your cancer. So is it the same for recovery? Can you not treat people's recovery like your recovery? Because is it different for everyone? Does everyone need a different tailoring? It's hard to know how much treatment she's getting and how much she needs. So do we have limited information there? That's something I'm curious about. And I'm really curious to hear all of your input and everything everybody else has to say on this. If you've watched this far, I so appreciate you. And if you would consider liking and subscribing, that would make some awful people very unhappy, and they're bad people. Living well is the best revenge, and I deserve revenge.